So there's this older gentleman. He's a customer where I work, and he tried to shoot his shot on 2 different occasions. And he came into my job today. Nice looking, older gentleman. And the last time he tried to shoot his shot, I said, well, if it wasn't that big of an age difference between us, I would give you a chance. And that's what I told him like a couple of months back. So he came into my job today, and he sat at my desk, and he said, I want to thank you for turning me down. And I said, why? He said, because I found me a woman. I said, oh, well, that's good for you. And I was like, okay. And so we was just conversing, and I was like, where'd you meet her? How'd y'all meet? How long y'all been talking or whatever? And he was answering all the questions, and he was just so eager and so happy and telling me how they had hit it off and stuff. And he was like, well, I'm 60. I think he said he was 60 or 63 or something like that. And I think he said that the woman that he met was like 59 or something like that. And I said, okay, well, how long y'all been talking? He was like, for a week, but he was just so eager and so happy and just going on and on about her. So I'm genuinely happy, right? Because like I said, he's a nice looking older guy. He seems like he's a nice man or whatever, dressed nice, kind of fit, to be an older gentleman. And like I said, the only reason why I didn't give him a chance is because of our, our age difference or whatever. And so we was talking today, and he had told me he never been married or whatever. She had been married, yada, yada, yada. So long story short, he wanted to thank me because he said that, he had found him a woman. So I'm 38, right? So he said, yeah, because you didn't like me or something like that. I said, no, I never said I didn't like you. I just said there was a big age difference between us. But he was just so happy. He was elated that he had met this woman or whatever. But I was just telling him, I said, you know what? I said, just take your time. Just take it slow. Just get to know her. Because I told him, I said, a lot of people are not who they say that they are. And I was like, men and women. And I told him, I said, it's a lot of people out here that's wearing masks. So just take it slow. Just take it slow. And he was like, oh, I am. And I said, yeah, but I'm happy for you or whatever. And he was just telling me about, their first date or whatever. And so I'm genuinely happy for him because everybody deserves to be happy. And I do think that it's somebody out there for everybody. But I just kept reiterating, take it slow, take it slow, take your time, take it slow. Because there's a lot of chameleons out there. So long story short, he said, I feel sorry for y'all young ladies these days. And he said, because, a lot of guys out here, y'all ain't got nothing to choose from. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. I said, no, we don't. And I said, that's exactly why I'm by myself. I said, and that's exactly why I go home and I go to work. Because you are right. There is not a lot of good guys out here to choose from. And I totally agree with him 100%. And he said, when I told him I go to work and I go home, he started laughing or whatever. I was like, I do. I just go to work, I go home, I stay out the way. And I said, it's not a lot of good guys out here to choose from. And I said, there are some good men out there, but they are few and far in between, and we was just talking about how the guys are, nowadays. They are just not how they used to be. We were just, conversing on how the men are and just how we just really don't have any good men to choose from. And so, I just wanted to share that with y'all. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm at peace. I'm at peace. I haven't given up on love. I'm not bitter. I'm not rushing anything. And like I told him, I said, I'm focusing on me. I'm focusing on me, and not involved with anyone right now. And I'm just focusing on me, getting me together, my healing and my inner peace. And, if I meet a good man, a good God-fearing man, then I do, and if I don't, I don't. But I'm not gonna lose no sleep. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all. He's right though. We can agree on that.